Cool, cool, cool. How you guys doing? This is the music department, right? You gotta be more excited than that. How you guys doing? All right. Listen, I do a lot of lectures and going to colleges all around the country talking to young people. I went to Berklee College of Music. The lectures and master classes that I remember most and that left something on me is when people just kept it real, right? I wanted to know what it was actually like to be a professional. I don't care if it was a trumpet player, a bass player, a drummer. I wanted to know the process so that I had no misconceptions about what that was, right? And a lot of times what we heard were things that maybe didn't make us feel warm and fuzzy, but it's what we needed. So I'm gonna do a fair amount of that today. Is that fair? Yeah. Again, I'll tell you a little bit about myself to sort of set the context of where I come from. I grew up in the South Omaha Projects. I went to Omaha South High School. My high school band sucked. That was the first time that I realized, oh, wait a minute. What is around me, if I gravitate towards that, then I too probably am gonna suck, right? So I had to figure out real fast how to get information to put me on a trajectory that I wasn't going to be that. And I say suck, it just, the bar for excellence wasn't very high. It was what it was, right? I knew that I wanted to be a professional musician probably around the end of my freshman year. That's a whole nother story, but you can go see my tech talk, and I do talk about my path to music and what led me there. But in general, once I figured out that work ethic and time and commitment was directly affected the outcomes, well then it was done. It was game on. So I don't care if I was listening to a great drummer here or I was listening to a great drummer on an album that I loved. It was always attainable once I figured out they're human, I'm human. If they did it, I can do it. Then it was just a matter of how did they do it, right? Now, how they did it was very hard to come from. I graduated in 1989, and when were most of you born?
2003.
When?
2003.
Good Lord. Yeah, there was no internet, right? There was no Google. You weren't Googling shit. You had to go figure it out. And you had to go find the people that had the knowledge. So everything was about getting the knowledge. Everything. You had to be committed to that if you were serious. By doing that, that imparted a certain level of adoration and love for the music that is very hard to come by if you don't have to work very hard for information. I say that because that's the generation you guys grew up in, right? Anything you want to know, you can go find out. You want to become a surgeon, you could probably find out all the information on the internet, right? Like everything is there. It's almost too much. So you get inundated with all of this information. Now, my generation, or any generation, is no better than your generation. Everyone comes to the table with a certain amount of tools from the era that they grow up in. And you have to navigate that. Some are successful, some aren't successful, right? But let me ask you guys a question. You guys are all music majors, right? Okay, by a show of hands, whether you're an education major, whether you are a performance major, it doesn't matter. Who in here, if given a choice, wants to end up being mediocre at what you do, or given a choice to be great? Who chooses great? Okay? Put your hands up. Who chooses mediocre? I see one fool back there. Who raised their hands? No one's ever chosen mediocre, man, right? Now let me ask you another question. Put your thinking caps on. I need you to be critical thinking here. Do you think people end up doing something great? And let's equate mediocrity with just getting by, whatever, not moving the needle, but, do most people end up doing something great or mediocre? Who thinks it's mediocre? Okay, put your hand. That's most of you. Now, we're getting somewhere. So we've already assessed that you guys want to be great. And we've also assessed that most people end up doing something on a mediocre level, right? You said that. I didn't make you say anything, right? Okay, why do most people end up in mediocrity? It's not rhetorical. Anybody got any answers? You, sir.
They lose the passion over time.
That's okay. Who else? Sir.
Don't put in the time.
Don't put in the time. What else?
Lack focus.
Lack of focus.
They believe they are mediocre.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
They believe they're mediocre.
They believe they're mediocre? Okay, yeah. What else? You, young lady.
Lack of working on self-discipline.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to be uncomfortable.
Oh, these are great answers, man. See, you have a great tool at your disposal, which is the tech world. You have the internet, you have YouTube, you have Google, right? If everyone ends up doing something on a mediocre level, let's just call it that black hole of mediocrity. It's like dark matter in space. It's everywhere, but you can't see it, right? But it affects everything, right? If we know that, if we've already critical thought that out and come to that conclusion, then we know there's something to it. Most of you will end up doing something on a mediocre level. Then we just agreed with that then, right? Do you like that equation? Who likes that? I hated that. That was me itself. That I knew that it was going to be much easier for me to be a statistic of my environment, right? So I had to do something drastically different. I couldn't blend in the shit, man. If I blended in, I was gonna be just like my surroundings. Does that make sense, young people? Now, where you benefit from with my advice or anything that I can impart on you is I'm from this area, right? I'm from Omaha. There's nothing you guys are going through that I don't know, right? I taught in this area for years. There's nothing that you kids can show me that I haven't seen. There's no context that I haven't heard. I taught years here, right? Most of what you are going to be doing is protecting yourself from you. You guys get what I'm saying? Stay motivated, man. It's not even about the X's and O's. Just be a serious human being and know what mediocrity is, right? Now, I'm a drummer. We've talked about that. How many in here are drummers? Okay. Who wants to be? These fools over here. I actually taught, Johnny, stand up. You stand. I taught these dudes at Bellevue East High School. Give them a round of applause. I knew you were here. I didn't expect to see you guys here. They could tell you some very interesting stories about my process of getting a group of young people from point A to B. I hate talking about myself, but in the context of this, it's important because you need to know what actually goes into making something great or raising the bar of excellence for yourselves. When I moved back here to raise my son in 2005, so let me back up. So I left Berkeley. I went to work on a cruise ship for a year to save money to go to New York. So I was in New York from '93 to 2005. right? My life was as a professional jazz musician. Everything that I worked for, everything that I dreamed of, I thought I would want to do, I did those things. And there's nothing braggadocious about that. That doesn't mean anything. Anybody can do that. Who's willing to commit themselves? I just told you I went to Omaha South, my band sucked, right? There was no reason for me to be able to develop myself that on paper, if I believed what was on that paper, or if I believed statistically what was in store for me, right? We'll get back to what I had to do to change that outcome. But when I came back here, I knew I couldn't be on the road at that point before I got custody of my son. So I came back here to raise my son, and I was like, damn, what am I gonna do? I had to turn to teaching. Now, it ended up just like it was supposed to, because I figured out that I had just as much passion for educating, mentoring, passing on my knowledge to others as I ever did for just being a full-time performer. You know, I think now at 52 years old, I'm realizing why I came back to Omaha. Because at first, like, what the hell, you know? But I came back and I started at Omaha Burke. Why do I say Omaha Burke? Because when I came back to town and started teaching percussion, now, I was really big into drum and bugle corps and marching band. I marched in the Colts drum and bugle corps. So I was really huge into that. So it wasn't a stretch that I came back and started teaching marching band, but that was a little weird for somebody who had been a professional jazz musician, right? You get where I'm going. I started at Burke and there was really nothing there, meaning there was no sense of pride. There was no, the bar for excellence was low. It was blah, mediocre at best, right? And people told me, because I had a chance to go right over to Bellevue East High School, which I later did. I had both those schools, but at first it was just Burke. They said, you don't want to go over to Burke. It's this and that, and you know, you're probably not going to be able to make it happen over there. I remember that mindset. I remember what most people were telling me. I went straight back to Omaha South. So knowing that, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I knew that to be bullshit. Now fast forward 3 years, 2 years, Burke went from nothing, and I'm talking percussion, to we reeled off 5 state championships in a row. Between Burke High School and Bellevue East High School, I think the time that I taught, we won 10 out of 9 state championships. Not because I'm special. This is no, congrats, I don't need a damn congrats. What I'm saying is, I had no misconceptions about the work ethic it was gonna take. And I marched back in the day. So me coming here and teaching, guess what? I had to be the student. Because if I was gonna give them as much as they needed, I had to go get better. I had to go learn more, right? So I've never stopped being the student, ever. The moment I stop being the student is the moment I have nothing to give you guys. Because that runs out real quick. And in the world you guys are living in, AI is on your ass, man, right? You better be about your business for real, right? But in this area, what I have found is that there is a collective lowering of the bar, right? Not because people don't have the ability, not because there's no potential, because this is a very conservative place we live in. I'm not talking politics. I mean, just the way people are. They do what they do, and they gravitate towards what's around them. Most time, that bar is pretty low. Now, what you guys like to do is reset the bar. So if we all say that greatness is here, we all agree together, say it at the same time, then that becomes the bar. When in reality, that's bullshit. You get what I'm saying? The bar is the bar. Because you have all the information at your fingertips, find out where the bar is. Whether you want to be a great educator, whether you want to be a great musician, performer, You have all the tools to know what that is. Stop resetting the bar of what that really is. And it's really that simple. If you can start there, everything else is gravy. Because what happens, much like I did at Omaha Burt and at Bellevue East, what I had to do was this. If I left it up to me just to make them better, okay, I'm just gonna come in here with these great teaching techniques and I'm gonna, impart in them these skills and blah, 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 it would have taken forever and I would have been unsuccessful. I had to very quickly create a culture of excellence. So now you have peer pressure to achieve at a high level. And that's a strong force to contend with. Once kids set the bar here and they are truthful about where that is, see, I wasn't showing my kids great high school drum lines from around here. Why the hell would I have done that when we've already ascertained that that's mediocrity most of the time? No, I was showing them what greatness was around the country. Hey guys, come here, let's watch Chino Hills from California. Let's come in here, let's watch Ayala. Let's watch Dartmouth. These are all great high school music programs, let alone percussion programs. I want to know what the best was. And that's just the same tool that I used when I was practicing in my parents' basement, listening to Wynton Marsalis albums. Listening, but not just, oh, this is cool. No, I want to do that. How do I do that, right? So yeah, I'm listening and I love it, but no, I want to do that. The people that have a misconception about what it takes, they never do that. I don't know what the percentage is of people that wish they played with Wynton Marsalis and actually did that is, but that is a very small percentage of people. And it ain't because they didn't have the potential to do that. You following me? Right? It's everything. So you're not only required in the School of Music if it is good. And again, you say, man, he's talking to me like I know he knows us. Well, I actually taught here for 8 years, right? So I know exactly what goes into the mindset of a student that comes here, right? So none of this is ever to put anyone on the defense. I see greatness in everyone, but we have to be honest about what that is, right? And you have to create a culture that not only represents, but motivates that, right? So if you yourself are working hard, right, and you're not motivating someone else to maximize their potential, then you're missing the boat. You're not doing enough, right? Because you're gonna be at your best when you motivate each other, when there is a fire lit here and everyone is lit by that same fire, right? Now, I went to Berkeley. I think people have this misconception that you go to Berkeley and there's all these great musicians. There's a ton of sad-ass musicians at Berkeley. Right? You hear what I'm saying? I gravitated to that small percentage of the ones that were really driven, and that was my orbit. I'm not gonna go hang with these sad dudes who, no. Where are the dudes at? Dudes can be male or female. Where are the musicians? Where are the cats at? Right? Where is the thing that I'm going to be able to use to rub on me and make myself better, right? That's what I want to surround myself with. You need to create that here. Without even knowing hardly anyone in here, I'm confident in saying that's probably not happening. Do you think that's happening, guys? Oh, you got serious now, right? You don't know me. Yeah, I do. I know you very well. And I love every one of you, right? So this is not speaking out of judgment. This is speaking out of trying to motivate us to raise our collective bar. Because I'm results driven, right? When someone asks me how good is something, or what's this like? Well, I'm like, well, man, who are the cats that are coming out of there, right? What are they developing? Where are the results from what's going on? That should motivate everything that you analyze and you come up with an answer as to, are you doing your part, right? And if the answer is we're probably not doing that, then look at each other and say, let's collectively raise our bar. It's that simple. It actually is. Before I go on, are there any questions or any something someone would like to add to this conversation as we go on? Or something that you're thinking about as a music major that maybe you're dealing with or you would like to see or you think that you just want to talk about? No one's in trouble, man. Yes.
Do you have any moments where there was maybe like a conventional idea of what greatness was, but yours didn't
Yeah,
agree with that?
right.
Or like personally,
Well, I knew I didn't sound, okay, so one of my favorite drummers was Art Blakey growing up, still is. I knew I didn't sound like him. I knew I didn't sound anything like him. Another one was Vinnie Caliuta was one of my favorite drummers. I knew I was nowhere near, close to understanding what he was doing. So again, I had no one of the things that I think I was blessed with more than anything was self-motivation and self-analyzation. I didn't want anybody, I had no time for someone, trying to tell me I was great. Because I developed when I was, in high school, oh, it's young prodigy, and oh man, you're great, because I knew that was BS. Because I knew what great was. So it's like, okay, I hear thank you but I knew I wasn't that. And I think a lot of young people live in this false sense of security that, they've arrived, or that what they're doing is cool. And then they get their little piece of paper that says they're a master of something. And then they move to a larger place where there really is that, and they realize, oh, wait a minute. Whoa. You guys know how often that happens? People get their degree. It doesn't have to do with just performance. It's education too, right? You can be a mediocre educator, right? If you're a mediocre student and you're in an education major, then you're probably going to be a mediocre educator, right? It doesn't take it's not rocket science, right? The problem is you guys don't hear that kind of shit enough. You are a lot who you are right now. So if you're bullshitting now, you can be a bullshit teacher. You ever heard that before? Yeah, but that's real, right? And we've already agreed, no one here wants to be a bullshit teacher, right? Yeah, man, we gotta be honest with what it is. Honesty is always the great. You guys, your generation is and you guys are what, Generation Z? Is that what you guys are? I'm Generation X. There's the millennials. You guys, right? Yeah. Man, I applaud your generation. There is a lot about my generation that I could call BS on. There is a lot about the millennials that I absolutely can call BS on. What you guys do is you take stuff for what it is. You won't have any preconceived notions. You're not gonna let somebody just ram something down your throat, right? That's why your generation is by far the most accepting and inclusive, right? And empathetic. Those are all tools that are, just as far as humanity goes, you guys have more than anyone else who's preceded you, right? But what comes with that is your generation also has so much information you don't know what to do with. So it's hard to focus in on something to use that to your advantage. I get that. Now, my generation, having fought to even find the information, I'm in the golden era. It's like, this is magic, man, right? This is like, are you kidding me? I wish I could just plug into the internet and get it all. That's how beautiful it is to me. Well, I can't imagine growing up with that. So this is not a judgment and saying, oh, you guys are somehow BSing and back in my day I did this, and no, hell no. But let's just be honest about what it is. If you know the rules of the game, well, then you can light your own path, and it is illuminated with the truth, in reality, and in context, right? That's all that I ever want for young people, is to know how much power you have in your own success. And the only way you don't reach your potential is that you somehow jumped off that path. If you know what that is and you don't reach that, and Johnny, you remember, I used to tell my drumline kids all the time, it's like, if you come up short, that was a choice, right? If you are not working hard enough, if you are not doing all the things that we talked about and we come up short of our goals, if someone's better, let them be better, man. That's fine, right? No one's going to win everything, right? But don't beat yourself, right? When you're really searching hard, for one thing, you learn how to lose, right? Now everybody gets a medal, everybody gets a ribbon, everybody's great. No, some people suck. And it's okay, man. I'd rather say, no, you know what? You're not in first, you're not third, you're fifth. Yeah, you're not very good. But this is how you can right that ship. You're not very good right now, but here, do these things, right? Because that's what happened with me. At one point, I wasn't very good. Somebody told me, yeah, youngster, you suck. I didn't go cry. It's like, okay, well, how do I not suck? Here's how, right? Those are the things, truth, honesty. That is what you have to carry with you. And I speak so frankly because I know a lot of you are going to become young educators. We need better educators going into education, man. Period. Right? Period. Know how important that is. Because if you can't inspire your students, if you can't motivate them, I don't care how much you know, you're not reaching them. Right? It's like kids can vet everything you tell them. You're not giving them anything they can't go find themselves. So everything is about motivation. It's about why we're doing this. Even if some of you drop out of being a music major, but you're a serious individual, if you've learned work ethic, if you've learned how to be committed to something, you're gonna put that into whatever it is you do, and you're gonna be way better, right? Just don't bullshit the process, man. Just like ever, don't bullshit the process. And hold each other accountable. You don't have to be a jerk. I don't want anybody to leave, oh, Dana Murray said just be a jerk and call people. No, man. Let's just all be honest. And some people don't know. That's fair. Then if you know, hip somebody to something, right? One cool thing about going to Berkeley is we hung all the time. We had sessions. We went to, there was a jazz club there called Wally's. It's still there. It's renowned. But that was the place that we went to collaborate, to play. It was the hang, right? Some nights it was great. Some nights, but that was the hang, man. That was our place, right? We have a jam session here. It's at North Omaha Music and Arts. And a lot of you UNO students, you came out the block strong. And I know from a little birdie that a lot of you don't come so much now because you're not having as much fun, right? Well, I'm here to say that it ain't always fun, man. And if you are a professional, fun, what the hell does fun mean? There is discomfort in growth. Even as your body grows, there is discomfort in that. And the higher you set the bar, guess what? There's more discomfort, right? Which is why most people are just comfortable. If you're comfortable, that I can pretty much tell what you're about, right? Still no questions? Zero? Zero questions, sir.
At this point in your musical, proficiency, are you personally satisfied with where you've gotten as a musician?
Hell no.
Are you still humble?
Hell no. I wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and I see all of the things that I am deficient in. I don't know any musician that is respected, heralded, that doesn't think that, not necessarily that you suck, but there's a lot to work on, right? No one gets caught up. John Coltrane was obsessed about practicing because he was trying to get to something. I mean, John Coltrane, right? 10 hours a day, just obsessed. He thought he was BSing, right? Sonny Rollins. There's, man, just stories about him going over the, forget which bridge it was, but he used to practice on the bridge. He has an album called The Bridge, but just hours and hours and hours and hours of practicing because he was trying to get to something, man. It's like there's an obsessive compulsive nature about anyone that's trying to be great, right? So if you have a hard time practicing or staying focused, those are things that you should develop yourself into being able to do, because I never, even now, practice is never a chore. I find it something that I never have enough time to do the level I do it at this age. But when I was your age, man, yeah. I'll say this. So we just read off my resume, right? Whatever that is. If I were to put my work ethic from, how old are you guys average? 18, 19, 20? Okay. If I were to put my work ethic in a lot of your bodies from then, you would explode, right? Because you haven't worked up to that, right? I didn't start out doing that, but the more I learned, the more I knew I didn't know. So practice became arbitrary. It wasn't even about, oh, let me get my 5 hours in. Oh, that's it. Let me punch the clock. I'm done. No. It was like there weren't enough hours in the day, man, because I wanted to be that dude. I wanted to be that dude. I wanted to be in magazines. I wanted to tour the world. I wanted to play with all the ones that I respected. And that is what it was going to take. But let's not even talk about music. As an educator, right? When I first came back, I used to make sure that I went to like the Midwest Conference in Chicago. I used to go to the Texas State Band Convention. I used to go to Percussive Art Society. I used to go to Bands of America, WGI. I went after education the same way I did music, the exact same way, right? When I would see an ensemble that was just, I cannot believe these kids are playing at that level, I would always go and talk to the instructor. What did you do to get these kids like that? And I was all ears. Now, that's probably around 2005, 2006. We have a thing called chop building here. I don't know if they still do a lot of that, but no one was doing chop building here. That's basically the football team. It's like off-season conditioning. If you're a good football team, of course you're doing off-season conditioning, right? Well, we started doing that for drumming, and that was crazy to people around here. But that's what they were doing in Texas. That's what they were doing in Indiana. That's what they were doing in California. I brought those tools back here. And it was weird here. It was only weird until we started stomping mud holes in everybody. Then it wasn't so weird. It's like, whoa. Then everybody started doing that, right? Then I started a nonprofit organization called Dojo Percussion. So that was like the elite. That was around 2009. Bunch of my high school kids. Now we had high school kids and college kids from around the area. Now we're going to go and compete against others around the world. We came out our first year, sucked. Our show was all right, but I didn't know how to adjudicate. There was so much that, I'll blame it on me. I didn't know how to prepare a show for that. Now, the mentality of the area, I had to end up firing most of my staff. That staff, I'm not going to get too into, but they started another group, which was great, awesome. A lot of the kids that were in this, they were like, okay, we sucked, obviously, so that must have been wrong. Let me go somewhere else. I had to really draw on all the stuff I'm telling you guys, meaning I had to stick to the path. I had to understand there was going to be bumps in the road. I had to understand I was going to fail a lot if I wanted to succeed, right? That next year we came out and won a gold medal in our class, with kids comprised of kids from here. That's how I know there's greatness in everybody here. You may not know it. You may not push each other to that. You guys are whatever you want to develop yourselves into. I promise you that, right? Who in here is a jazz performance major? Raise my pie. Let's try to. Okay, cool. Who in here is practicing at least 4 hours a day of those performance majors? We got one. Raising my pie. 2, 3. Okay. So if you're a jazz performance major, that means you want to be a jazz professional. I assume that you want to be able to make a living, take care of a family, pay bills, stuff like that, growing up stuff, playing your instrument. I can only impart what I've seen in my walk as a professional. I've never seen somebody be able to do that is not putting in 5, 6 hours a day practicing. Now, maybe that'll be different for some of you, but I've never seen that, right? All I'm saying is that if you want to be a professional, like if you want to be someone that has had a career like mine, I don't know anyone in my walk that's done that without putting that kind of time in. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah, so if you're not doing that, right? And also no school is going to teach you how to play, right? Matter of fact, no one teaches anybody shit. I'm giving you tools to teach yourself. That's education, man. You guys get that? No one teaches you something. You teach yourself. I'm giving you tools that you can put in your tool bag and go away and work on yourself. So it's on you. But that is usually a insecure position to think that so much is on you. I always loved that position. You mean it's on no one else? I control my own destiny? Game on. And no one's in trouble if they're not working as hard as they should, but know the difference. Know if you want this, you have to do this. You can't want this or expect to get this, and it requires to do this much, and you only do this much. I mean, that's simple math, right? It's so simple that it's hard. You got to commit yourself to that. And if it was easy, everybody would be a badass, right? As a musician or as an educator. If it was easy, everybody would be great, wouldn't they? Everybody's not great, so there must be something to it. But luckily, you guys have somebody coming at you like this, saying it very straightforward that there's going to be no misconception about what that is, right? You guys think you're in trouble or something? Why are you guys so quiet? It's funny, I spoke at MTSU a few months back. It's down in Nashville. And it's interesting, no matter where you go, when you start talking to young people like this, they think they're in trouble, right? No one's in trouble, man. It's like, I want you guys to be successful. I know that if I took the statistics, very few of you will be that, right? Or reach that greatness. But let that be a choice, man, right? If you don't bust your ass, if you don't take everything serious, if you don't push each other, it's going to be hard to come by. Very, very hard to come by. But that is not something that should discourage you. The opposite. This is meant to encourage, man. You have a plan. You have a blueprint that you may have already known, but I know in this area, because of the conservative nature of where we live, it's rare that you hear someone telling you things exactly how you should hear it, right? I can't care about your feelings because I want you to be great. It's like no one cared about my feelings. There was this old cat named Tommy Turrentine. You probably heard more of his brother, Stanley Turrentine. he was our mentor when we first got to New York. We used to go to Smalls Jazz Club. And you come off the bandstand, you know, and at this time, you know, it was myself was going there, people like Eric Reeves, Russell Gunn, Ray Hargrove. We were all going down to Smalls to hang. And I never forget coming off the stage one night, and I thought felt kind of good about myself. And I walked by Tommy, he's doing it, he's like, I was like, oh man, I see the crowds clapping and stuff. He's like, what's up, Tommy? He had this really gravelly voice, like, you bullshit. I'm like, huh? I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said, you heard me, MFer, you're bullshit. Now, I could have got my feelings hurt. I could have, been all down on myself. That whole the worst part about it, I don't know what part of it he meant. Like, what part? Didn't even matter. I just knew whatever it was that I presented to this master, I was bullshit. The whole train ride home, I thought about what that could be. The whole next day, I thought about what that could be. But I got up and I practiced with a different mindset. I don't know that I ever knew exactly what he meant, right? But I do know another week, I saw Tommy was there sitting in that same chair. And I got done and I walked by. He didn't say anything. He just like, those are the lessons, man, that I hold dear. I never wanted anybody to tell me the shit that I already knew I could do well. Tell me what I'm doing that is not good. If you know better, tell me what I'm doing that I need to get better at, right? That is the biggest tool you can ever carry with you, right? Is discernment, right? Know the difference. You should want any amount of information that's going to make you better. And the performance majors are one thing, but I'm way more interested in us creating incredible young educators. Because we are, and not just music, man. Education has not kept up with technology. It just hasn't. There's no inspiration in the process, very little anymore, right? It's hard to keep your attention span. You guys, there's so much stuff to contend with. And there's nothing you can't go find out for yourselves, right? So we haven't kept pace. So you have to learn to self-motivate yourself, right? Know that that's a thing. It's a thing that, oh, okay, wow, most people are going to be complacent. Know that that's a thing because of the era you're growing up in. That is a thing. It's real. And counteract that with being curious. Be curious. Want to know everything. If you can't get under the hood of your music education car and fix something, then you got to go back to the drawing board until you can. You got to be able to get under the hood and fix yourself. Does that make sense? And everyone in here has the ability to do that. How do I know that? Because I should have never done anything on paper that I did coming out of Omaha South, growing up in the South Omaha projects. There's nothing special about me. Zero. No one's special, man. You are what you work yourself into, right? Period. No one's special. Oh, well, he's just talented. No, man. I don't care if you're a 5-year-old who can play Chopin. That means that 5-year-old been practicing a whole lot of Chopin. No one comes out the womb anything. You are what you are willing to work for, period. But that, hey, I always loved that equation, right? Game on. And we have because we are in Omaha and we are in the middle of the country, there's not a whole lot. I would love for us to light a fire and show the rest of the country, man, what is going on in Omaha? Why? Whoa, what's happening? Yeah, because we're about that life, man, right? We are driven. We are motivated. We are not going to succumb to what most succumb to because we are critical thinkers. Fair?
So Dana, before we wrap up this session, do you want to share what we're going to do at 4 o'clock?
Yeah, we're doing what do you call it, a master class?
Yeah, workshop, masterclass.
A workshop in the studio. What do you guys call the studio here?
Recording Studio 381.
We're going to be doing a workshop in there. I'm going to talk more specifically about recording techniques, producing, mixing, mastering, whatever anyone might be interested in that goes with that process. So that's where we'll be.